So I'll start by asking you about your family's genocide history. Do you know which part of um, Eastern Turkey or your
Yes,
family is from?
my father was from Dikranagert, you know, and my mom from Sassoon. Part of my mom's family get deported toward the north and actually escaped from the Turk with the help of the shepherd. Actually, they put my mom's uncle as a baby under the sheep belly, and they wrapped him and they let him escape to Armenia, present Armenia. My father's side family, they escaped towards the south, actually, towards Syria and Lebanon.
And do you know what year this was? Either of them? Was this 1915, 16?
I'd say it was at the beginning 1915 and 1916 for both.
And did you lose any family members?
Of course, I lost a lot, you know, from my father's side and my mom's side. We lost. I don't have numbers, but we lost a lot of them, and plus we lost properties. My father's family side was a very rich family. They lost a lot of properties.
Do you know what their occupations were before they were forced to leave?
Uh, I think they used to sell, dried fruit. They used to make that they were in a business like pistachios, dried apricots, and they used to sell that. You know, my mom's side, I really don't recall. I never asked what they used to do. You know, I'm so sorry. I don't know the answer for that.
And this was your parents, you said?
Yeah, my parents both from Turkey.
And did your grandparents also go with them
My grandparent died actually there.
in the genocide?
Yeah.
Do you know, was it along the route or in the towns?
I never asked those questions, but I think it was not in the town. And the reason I know it's not in the town, because you will be surprised that part of the Armenians, they accepted to be Muslim just to save their lives and their properties. And my father's side, I think his cousin, he did that, and they refused, and they kicked them out of the town, the Kranagert. And I think my grandfather passed, died, but as my father as a child, yeah, and a lady took care of him. You know, I don't remember the lady. I don't remember anything.
A lady in where, in Syria or in
No, in Turkey.
Oh.
In Turkey, till they get to Syria. But my father did not stop in Syria. Actually, they could. My father's side, I think they continued to Lebanon, and then he grew up there, and he joined the French army after, and after he joined the French army, he stayed in Lebanon. It was Charles de Gaulle time, I think. My father was Cavalier. He likes horses. Uh, then when the French pulled out of Lebanon, he did not go with the French army because my mom's he married my mother, and my mother has two brothers. The two brothers were living in the city of Kamishli in Syria. She did not want to leave her two brothers with her mom. The mother, my grandmother, took care of my two uncles, and you know, my mom refused, and she asked my father to move from Lebanon to Syria to be with her family, because my father's side there were no families. He was the only child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why my father agreed. And he asked the army to be moved to Syria, and the only place they had was airport. The French, they had airport was in the city of Kamishli, and they moved him there, and he stayed there. Then he changed his profession, and he became a barber.
Wow.
Yeah, he opened two barber shops.
Wow.
Yep.
And we were speaking earlier about how some people had changed their religion to Islam, and I'm wondering for your family if it was spoken about how if religion was important and
Of course.
Christianity.
I remember my father's side's family, you know, a couple of his cousins, they used to call him, you know, they came after him, you know what I mean? He refused to meet them actually because they denied Christianity for Islam, you know. He refused, and he made us as well to, you know, to cut all relation with them, no connections, nothing.
Do you know why religion was so important to him? Did he ever speak about it with you?
He didn't speak about it, but he showed us in action. You know, every Sunday he was very attached to church. You know, even when he passed away, you know, it was after mass. You know, he every Sunday he used to go to church. He never forced us to go to church, by the way. But I know that my father at the morning he will wake up, he will dress, and then he will go to church. You know, from there I can tell church is very important. You know, God is very important in our family. You know, from the way that every morning, you know, I hear him. He prays in Turkish. He prays in Armenian and Kurdish. He speak 5-6 languages. My father spoke 7 languages actually. You know, besides French, Arabic, Armenian. You know, and the Armenian dialogue from Dikranagert. You know, like from Sasun they have, plus the Armenian they have their dialogue as well. You know, that's very important for Armenians to know that, you know, each city, each village, they have their own dialogue. It's like in Armenia as well, you know?
And he would continue to speak those languages?
Yes, absolutely.
With whom?
Huh?
With whom?
With my mom. My mom also spoke. My mom was illiterate, but she spoke 7 languages, you know?
Wow.
When she sees a Kurdish guy, she speaks Kurdish. When she speaks Turkish, she speaks Syrian, you know, Armenian, you know, Arabic, you know.
And how did your parents meet? They both were in Kamishli, or your mom, what part did her family go to?
No. I really don't know how to.
That's okay.
You know what I mean?
You know where?
I think it was in Turkey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Before the genocide?
No, after actually. I think after the genocide they met.
So they left Turkey during the genocide, and then
through Syria to Lebanon. You know, but my mom, I really don't know. I never asked them this question.
That's okay.
You know, but I just know that my grandma, she did not leave to Lebanon because of her case situation. My grandpa was get killed or something, you know, and she could not make. She used to work to raise her 2 sons, which is my mom wasn't there because my mom got married very young, at the age of 15, maybe 16 years old.
Well, when did they go back to Turkey? So they went from Turkey to Syria to Lebanon, but
Yes.
when they got married? In Turkey?
I think in Turkey or Syria. I don't know
okay.
where they got married.
It's not important.
You know, but and plus you can't say I can't because these cities are borders.
Of course.
You know, Kamishli is border. You know, the city it's Mardin is there. Dikranagert is like it's like 40 minutes from Kamishli. You know, and Mardin it's like you this is the border and you look at the city there.
Do you feel a connection to Dikranagert?
Of course.
Have you been there?
No, never.
Did you hear about the in 2015 around September the destruction of they kind of destroyed the church, didn't they?
Yes.
And did you hear about that? And did you?
Yes, I heard about that,
how did it make
and
you feel?
I heard more about Mardin. Yeah, and the reason I say Mardin because when I became a priest in Syria and I worked for 2 years and a half in Syria, a lot of people from my parish were from Mardin, their roots. I had to pay a man $300 just to go because they turned the church to animal place, you know, in Mardin. And I asked the man to go to the city and ask about the archives of the baptisms in that city, you know, and he came with a photocopy of the baptisms from 1882 till 1998.
Wow.
Imagine. and it's all photocopy. I still have them in Syria, actually. Hopefully, they didn't get burned because they hit our home. Uh, he paid the man $300, and he made these photocopies, and I put them on a disc. You know, these all names, families, roots. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. You see the history behind this, you know, and you see how much Armenians were living in that city itself. They were more in the city of Mardin, you know, because Mardin was like a blooming city at that time, you know. Uh, Not just Armenian, a lot of Armenians, a lot of Syriac, they used to live there, and a little bit of Kurdish people, you know. But the Armenians, that were the main ones, you know, because they lived and they controlled the whole market over there, you know. And they were very wealthy, and they are rooted, their families are so connected with like Diyarbakir, you know, Kamishli in Syria, Ras Al Ain, and all this Aleppo, you know what I mean? And everybody wants to go to Turkey has to go through Mardin, you know what I mean? Everybody will meet in Mardin. At that the area, it's very, very, very important. Like strategically, geographically, all those are very important. That's why the Americans, we have a base close to that, Angelic base, because of the strategic location of that, and it's on top of the mountain, to the hill, you know.
And so those documents, are they accessible to anybody, or?
Over there, I don't know, you know. I just paid the man $300, you know, and he paid somebody there. He made the copies. He said the copies cost, all photocopies cost $100, but you know, $200 like a tip.
Yeah. So.
There is a lot of documents.
Yeah, and why do you think they're important to keep those and preserve those documents?
It's a history, you know. It's a history. You know, it's been everything they denied. We have them in documents, and we have them in there. You know, if this document doesn't talk, actually, the land will talk. You know, the people there will talk. The stones will talk. People, they go there and they recognize their houses. Even the remain of their houses. They see. I helped so many families in 2007, 2008 when, you know, they had this agreement between Lebanon, Syria, and Turkey at that time, when relationship was okay between Syria and Turkey, that Erdogan said everybody has a property, you know, from the past. He can come and, you know, if he has the deed or whatsoever, they call it the tapo, the deed. You know, and people, they used to bring me this from New York, from Philadelphia, from New Jersey, and I used to translate that, because at that time we were in Arabic. I used to translate it from Arabic to, you know how many people they have this deeds, their lands, for their houses, for you know, in whole Turkey. Armenians. I'm not counting the Syriac and the Syrians and, you know, even the Greek.
Let's go back to then you growing up in Syria. So where were you born? And
I was born just on the border, Kamishli city, which is, if you look at the map, it's a border between Turkey and Syria.
And do you remember what it was like for you growing up as an Armenian in an Arab country?
It was wonderful, actually, you know. I always have very good memories of that. You know, we were very respected, very well respected from even the Muslim people community over there. You know, from losing everything and now you start a new life. I think, you know, I told you my father came back and learned another job, and you know, and he made a living. Then he became an owner of 2 barber shops. You know, and believe it or not, his partner was a Jewish rabbi. You know, it's so weird.
In
Right?
Kamishli?
In Kamishli. You know, Jewish people were very respected as well at that time, you know, and still, you know. When I became priest, I became a friend with the Jewish rabbi as well. You know, it's a history repeating itself. And everybody used to know me because my father was the partner with the Jewish rabbi at that time, you know. And they have like titles. They called Arsene Barber. My father's name was Arsene, and Barber, it's a barber. You know, Arsene Barber. You know, oh, he's the son of Arsene Barber. You know, it's this is how they used to know each other. It's like in the Bible. Who's this man? They say, oh, it's Jesus. You know, the carpenter's son.
Yeah.
You know, this is how they used to name us. You know, and I have a lot of friends, Muslims, Syria, from all different. You know, we never had problems. You know, from nothing to have something, and you own your home. You know, you own your business. Neighbors always around you. You know, you travel. It's like you become a citizen. You know, from nothing. I'm telling you. You know, look now what happened. You know, after 100 years of building our lives, you know, now we lost everything. How that feel? Huh? You tell me. You build your life here, and somebody comes to Long Island and will destroy it. How you will feel? Huh? See? It's not just you lose your properties. When you lose members of your families, I lost 8 of them. How that will feel? Huh? See?
So, did you feel that Syria was your home?
Of course. Syria was my home.
And did
I
you
still my home. I love Syria.
do you feel? Could you identify if you feel Syrian or Armenian or Syrian Armenian? Which identity? How do you put them together for yourself?
I feel Syrian Armenian. You know, Syrian Armenian. You know, because you're born there and you're raised there. You know, it's like when you go to a restaurant and they tell you, "Oh, what's the best restaurant you ate?" I was like, "The best food you like." I was like, always, okay, my mom's food. I don't care about the biggest restaurants, the most expensive restaurant. Even if it's burnt, my mom's food is the best food ever. You know what I mean? Which place you like the most? It's my birthplace because I have memories. I have something that connected to, you know.
Did you feel that your parents also felt at home in Syria, or was it?
Of course, if they didn't feel that, they will never buy a house. They will think about going someplace else, correct? Because it felt like family and home. That's why my mom went back to be with her family, you know?
So can you describe a little bit about the community? Was there there was obviously an Armenian church. And
Yes,
what else?
there were an Armenian Orthodox church and there were Armenian Catholic church as well, you know? Till before the things happened in Syria in 2011, you know, there were over than 180 families in Armenian Catholic in Kamishli, and over than 300 maybe 300 something Armenian Orthodox families, which is a big number, you know, and very active, and you know, and it's like they all come together they celebrate everything together, you know. I mean, we always support each other, you know, and the most biggest event is like April 24th. You know, all the churches they come together. They invite non-Armenians as well, and even the sheikh and the thing they come, you know, to commemorate the Armenian genocide and the remembrance of the Armenian genocide, and they never forget their roots, and they always talk about it, you know. And you know what's the beautiful things about over there? When you are from Mardin, you know, they will call you Anush Mardensi. You know, that Anush if she's from Mardin. Mardensiye, you know, or Dikranagersi, you know, from Dikranagert, or from Sasunsi, from Sasun. You know, it was like, who's Anush? Oh, Mardensi Anush. Oh, from Mardin. You know, this is how they identify each other's and how they know that which city is the city, you know. And that small town actually brought all the Armenian cities from all over Turkey and gathered them in this small town on the borders. It was like that was a safe haven for them, you know.
And so you think then that clearly their identities from their homes in eastern Turkey were very prominent in the
Yes.
in Syria, but still they were able to have their new identities and reroot themselves newly again in Syria, but also maintain their identities from Turkey
Absolutely. You know what happened is,
or Armenia, really.
for Armenians in general, especially in Syria and I think in Lebanon as well, you know, they always stayed Chezok in the middle. You know what I mean? We are not with and we are not against. You know, it's basically send a message of peace. You know, we want to live peaceful. You know, we're asking for peace. You know what I mean? We don't like war. That's it. You know, we had enough. If you look at the Armenian history, since day one till now, it's war. You know, we never had like a long period of stability or peaceful life. Never. All over. You know, think about it. Look around you. Check the history. We always have problems. We always have wars. It's not because of us. No, it's because of others. You know. I'll tell you something very nice. Okay, it's you can keep it. You can keep it safe. You know when you drink, you know, what do you say? Cheers.
In English or Armenian?
English.
Cheers.
Cheers. Why cheers? It comes from England because England is a foggy country. Okay, it's so depressing there. That's why when they drink, they want to cheer each other's. Okay, but you know what they say in Arabic?
Good night.
In Arabic,
Oh,
صحتك.
others are.
For your health, they say. For your health, because they care about health, you know, and they care about diet, and they like to eat healthy. You know what I mean? Now, in Italian and
Spanish, salud, health.
salud, you know, okay, they salute each other. In Armenian,
Good night.
genats for life, because they love life, and they are lively people, energetic people. Wherever they go, as you know, Saroyan said, they build a new Armenia. Okay, that way. But what the Turks say? Sharafler. You know, in your honor, they say. You know why? Because they don't have it.
Honor.
Yeah, they don't have it. They never honor their word, and they don't have it, and they will never have it. You see?
Was there a lot of animosity towards Turkey in Kamishli?
Yes.
Not from the Armenians only, or from many others?
From the Assyrian, from the Syriac as well, a lot. You know, don't forget after they killed the Armenians, they start killing the Syriac people as well. Over than 500,000 Syriac people get killed.
Can you tell me a little bit about your friends, or most of your friends are Armenian in Kamishli or non-Armenian? Did you mostly stay within the Armenian community, or expand?
We used to have a group, you know, Tashnak Tsagat. You know, and we have both, you know, from school, of course, from your neighbors, you know, but you know what's amazing? It's like all my friends were still in contact, you know, from my childhood, even from elementary school. We grow up together because it's a small city, and it's, you know, and the same building has like 12 apartments, and the 12 apartments has children, the same children, they go to the same school, and they grow up together. You know what I mean? And then after that, you go to college or you go to university, and you know, I went to Aleppo, I studied law, then I went to Armenia for 2 years, and from Armenia I came back, and here you go, I wanted to be priest. You know, I started acting there and law, then I wanted to be priest. That was my calling. You know, it wasn't me, it was God directing me, you know. And then I went to Lebanon, and after 11 years I go back to my hometown, and everything changed, you know. And I see my friends, some they became lawyers, you know, and they are practicing doctors, and you know, and mix Armenians and Muslim and Christians from different
And did you ever interact with the Armenians from Aleppo and Damascus and Kesab? Did you ever
Yes.
do like jump
Yes,
powers?
yes. We always do that actually there, just to keep our relation and we keep connected. We used to do camps.
That's what I meant to say, yeah.
It's like exactly like here in America, and meetings, games. It's exactly like.
And did you see differences between the Armenian communities?
Of course, big
What were they
big
like?
time. Aleppo, for example, it's life. They are more active because more Armenians there. You know what I mean? More businesses, very well known, and and every place you go in Syria, and when they know that you are Armenian, they respect you highly. Actually, this is very important to mention this. They when they know that you are Armenian, they trust you in everything. If you are a mechanic, they say, oh, you have to go to the Armenian. A jeweler, you have to go to the Armenian. Any kind of business you do, and they always say, go to the Armenians because they are the best ones. Very well, very, very well respected, even doctors.
How would you describe the Armenians in Kamishli? Like I was asking somebody the other day about how you describe an Aleppo Armenian. So I don't know,
Yeah.
how do you describe a Kamishli Armenian?
Kamishli Armenians, it's a small community, but active from inside. Everybody knows everybody, not like Aleppo. You know what I mean? Because it's big and huge. Nobody knows everybody. But in Kamishli, all Armenians, we know each other's. And somehow we are related to each other's. Every time I used to go to Kamishli, I find that I have relatives from my mom's side. I have relatives from my, because when you are small, and you are busy to establish your life, you don't have time to ask about Maria. I don't have time to ask about Sivan, But when you become a priest and they, Bedrosian, like you are Bedrosian and I'm Bedrosian. Let me check this. And they check, I say, he's like the son of Arsene, blah, 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 blah. Somehow, we all relate to each other, It is, this you find just in Kamishli, by the way. You don't find it in other places.
And the non-Armenians in Kamishli, were they mostly Muslims or Arab Christians?
They were Arab Christians and they were Muslims, Kurd a lot as well, But because of their presence there, that's why everybody used to speak Kurdish. You know what I mean? Business.
Even non-Kurds.
Yes, even non-Kurds. Like Armenians and Kamishli, they all speak Kurdish. Yeah. If you don't speak Kurdish, that you are not from Kamishli.
And what was the name of the church that you were a priest at in Kamishli?
Yes, Rupago.
Okay. And what was the name of the other church?
Holy Family.
And are they both?
No, Saint Joseph, Sur Joseph. Holy Family is in Hasaki.
And are they all still up and running?
Yes, they're still up and running. I served 2 years in Kamishli when I became priest. Between Kamishli and Hasaki, and sometimes I used to serve Deir ez-Zor, our church, which they got bombed by ISIS.
Yeah.
And they stole everything from the Armenian genocide monuments.
So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the war then. You weren't there. When did you leave Syria?
I left Syria 2000, 2001.
Okay. And so...
I was there until the beginning of the war, 2011.
You were there until
for 3
2011?
weeks.
And what was that like for you?
It was really strange for me because my flight was, from here to Damascus, and then they forced me to change because they said it's not safe. It was at the beginning. It was like the third, fourth month of the war that started. I had to fly to Beirut, and from Beirut I took a taxi to Damascus. It felt so strange and weird, you know what I mean? It wasn't like before when you go there. I had fear, and I wasn't scared, by the way, because when I always say, okay, if there is a taxi and the taxi is going to Damascus, that means somehow it's safe. Otherwise, why the taxi driver is gonna, risk his life, And then you get there, and here you go. You want to go to Aleppo because most of my family now between Aleppo, Kamishli, and Hasake, on 3 cities. I could not go to Aleppo because all the roads were closed because of Homs at that time. It started in Homs, you know. And then I wanted to go to Kamishli. I wanna fly because if I go by the bus, it's gonna take 12 hours. You know, flying it's 45 minutes. Imagine. And what happened is I waited 2 days and I could not catch any flight because it's all booked. I had to take the bus, 12 hours, more than 12 hours till I get to Kamishli, you know. And every like 45 minutes, every 1 hour, you know, a police or an army stops and, you know, they check. It felt like, I don't know, you know, it didn't feel safe first, of course, you know, but it felt so weird for me, you know. It's like I'm watching a movie, you know, a war movie, you know what I mean? Because I watch a lot of movies, and it's like sitting there on the window and looking at the army and looking at the police, how they stop you, and all the way on the road. You see militias, they stop you. You don't know who they are. You know what I mean? And I can't say that I'm American. If I'm American, they will kidnap me. And you know, when they kidnap you, that they will ask for money. You know what I mean? And I can't say that even, okay, I'm a priest, because they start playing on that religious, you know, things. You know, a friend of mine was kidnapped as a priest, and till now we don't know what is the Armenian priest. You know, and 2 bishops, we don't know what happened to them. You see, all those happened. You know, I just stayed silent and I didn't do. I just showed my Syrian ID, the old ID, and everybody knew that it's an old ID. You know, they didn't talk. You know. And I was lucky that I passed, actually. But I could not take the risk again and go back to Damascus by the bus. I made sure that I will fly from Kamishli to Damascus, because that was a very risky trip that I took. Because you pass from Palmyra, all the Syrian desert, and Deir ez-Zor, where ISIS is. I had to go all this trip.
And they stopped the bus?
Of course, they stopped the bus.
And what were they looking for when they stopped the bus?
They look for IDs, you know.
They have a specific list of people that they're looking for?
You know, militias, they need money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If at the beginning we didn't know which groups were fighting, actually. You know what I mean? It just some group in here, some group there, and then people, they took advantage of that and they start stopping buses, making themselves militia, or even the government. They used to wear a uniform, you know, but they were thieves, like, you know, pirates, let's say. You know what I mean? Get the money. But like ISIS, you know, like my niece used to tell me that how she escaped from Aleppo. ISIS members, they stopped her and they asked her, okay, because she has to wear like an Islam hijab and everything, you know, they asked her, do you know this ayah? You know, say any ayah that you know. And she had to recite from the Quran something that she proves that she's Muslim. Because Christians, they used to kidnap them and ask for money. You know, over than 170 Armenians are missed from Aleppo city themselves. You know, they were kidnapped and they don't know what happened to them. You know.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your friend who was kidnapped?
Priest.
Yeah.
There were 2 priests. One is my friend, and they were driving actually, and one of the militias, they stopped them.
Where were they? They were what year?
Outside of Aleppo.
2011?
No, not 2011. It was 2015, I think. 2015.
They were priests from Aleppo?
Yes, priests from Aleppo. An Armenian priest from Aleppo and Byzantine Orthodox priest. They were together, you know. It was like outside of the city a little bit, and they stopped them and they disappeared. Nothing. Nobody knows anything about them.
How do you know that they were stopped? Somebody saw it?
Yeah, because the first time they asked for a lot of money.
Okay.
You know, this is how, and then everything stopped. I think when everything stops, that means they are dead.
Oh, you know
There
they were
is,
kidnapped because the people asked for money who
yes,
kidnapped them.
that's why how would I know that they're
Okay.
kidnapped? But
Okay.
then 2-3 months later, everything stopped. Nobody's talking, nobody, and basically in wars, when negotiation stops,
Right.
because they are not exist anymore.
Do you know
You
who
know what I mean?
kidnapped them? Was it a terrorist group? Was it the Free Syrian Army? Or which part of the opposition?
Let me tell you something. Free Syrian armies, there is no such a thing. They're called Free Syrian Army. It's the same thing. It's a terrorist group as well. Okay, they were never revolution. And no revolution comes from a mosque. Okay, no revolution in the world comes from a mosque. Okay, I'm telling you this straightforward, clean. Okay, because everything started from a mosque. And that mosque has a channel under the ground in the city of Daraa on the Jordanian border, has a tunnel inside the Jordan lands, okay? And they used to deliver weapons and money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to feed these groups, from under the ground to under the mosque, and give weapons to these groups, okay? There were never revolution, okay? I just want to say this clear, and I'm 100% positive, and I know my sources, and I know everything about what's going on in Syria, okay? It's just basically they don't want to see country doing very well. They want to destroy it just because it's a border with Israel, okay? They don't see they don't want to see a strong country in the area, okay? Plus, it's the heart of the map, and has a lot of gas in the Syrian desert, which is they just discovered, and this is why the war is going on. And it has a lot of gas in the Mediterranean Sea between Syria and Lebanon, and why you think the Russians are there, okay? Because when you control the gas, you control everybody. Russia gives Europe 35% to 45% of gas. If Russia cuts the gas now, 20 minutes, maybe 70% of Europe freeze. You know what's that mean? That means she controls everything. You got it? And Qatar and Saudi Arabia, and they want to, pass all their pipes because they are rich with gas to Syria because it's so cheap, to go through Turkey to Europe. And this way we control everything over there. But it didn't happen. They refused.
So when you say there was no revolution,
No revolution.
what do you
no,
mean
no.
when there were the uprisings in 2011?
No,
in
no, no,
March?
no, 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 no. It's all made up stories.
But you see the videos of it.
It's made up stories, made up videos, no chemical attacks, nothing. It's all made up. And the White Hamlet are the biggest terrorist group. Okay? I'm telling you. If you want to check, I'll give you one name. You go. Vanessa Bailey. She was on the ground. Go check her on YouTube. Vanessa Bailey.
And so, are you saying then that it is a proxy war between the biggest
Of course,
powers?
it's a proxy war.
Of course, but
it's still proxy war. You
but
think we
there's-
American we destroyed ISIS?
no, of course not. But still,
Well, we use ISIS to stay there because we made ISIS.
my question is: the people who really oppose the Assad regime, are those not other Syrians who are part of this Free Syrian?
You tell me,
army?
let me tell you something. When they bring me somebody that left Syria 40 years ago, 40 years ago, left Syria and he lives in France. Okay, I'm not gonna give you names. And then he comes, oh, Assad is a bad man, blah, blah, blah. How do you know Assad and you don't live in Syria? He is a Syrian citizen. Most of these people, they live outside of Syria for so many years, Honestly, I know the president. I met him a couple times. I know his wife. His wife, she used to live in New York, by the way. She was a special financial advisor for Morgan and Stanley. You know that? No? You don't know? Her father is the best heart surgeon in England. He has the best private hospital. And Assad is the best eye surgeon. Graduated from London. Show me president speaks 5 languages fluently and controls them.
So, do you think that it's a lot of the Armenians, because of their minorities, they side with Assad. But do you think that it's because it's protection, because Assad provides protection for the minorities, or because a lot of them actually believe the ideology behind what he does and what he says?
Actually, they believe in, I went to Syria after 8 years leaving Syria, and he became president, and I left Syria. Okay, but after 8 years, I went back and I saw it was like amazing. It changed the whole country in 8 years. It's just amazing, correct? For example, I'll give you one simple thing. Medicine. We don't import medicines. We just maybe 10% we import medicines in Syria, and this is third world country. Third world country imports 10% medicine. Where did that happen? And we give more than 80% medicine and electricity to the surrounding countries. You know what that tells you? The country was growing like hell. Somebody has to stop this growing. You see?
Yeah.
Show me a country that treats healthcare, blah, 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 for free.
Yeah.
Tell me. I had to send my brother to Lebanon and spend every week $4,000 or $5,000. Me and my brother, we used to pay till we nothing left money. One person called me, why you don't send him to Damascus? I said, it's war. He said, no, but they treat everything for free. That shot that he used to take, in Lebanon they used to charge us $4,000. In Syria was free during war. You see? I imagine how much is here. 25,000.
So, like, if there were to be, let's say, any type of justice for the people who have been hurt in this conflict after it ends, what would that look like to you?
Justice?
Like, yeah, or repair for the country and the people. Would it be a tribunal? Would it be reparations? Would it be...
There is no just tribunal in the world. Okay, the whole world, it's fake, and it's fraud. Even these big countries and even us, we talk about human rights. We are the one who violate human rights. If it's not in here on our property, we violate it on others' property. Okay, we rent properties from different countries just to violate the human rights over there.
We meaning America?
Every big countries. Okay, and if you're smart enough, you should know what I'm talking about. Okay, just leave the country. Leave them alone. Leave them alone and stop being a policeman.
Yeah.
You can't restore. It's so difficult to restore. You restore the building, it's okay, but people's mentality and life, so difficult. That's it.
You said that Turkey was another perpetrator again in this war. So can you expand upon that a little bit, please?
Everything happened through the big door of Turkey. Open the borders and let all these terrorist groups come. Everything, weapons, terrorist groups. Everybody wants to join ISIS. They used to land in Istanbul airport. What do you think? Or Ankara airport. And they used to go to the Syrian borders with the help of the Turkish government, and they go to Turkey. It's so easy and simple. How do you think ISIS sells his oil? Show me, tell me. Who's buying their oil? The son of the president. And we buy it from him. You see how you support a terrorist? This is one simple thing I'm talking. Yeah. And they are the one who trains ISIS members. So many videos I can show you. Don't listen to the media here, by the way. Not even Fox, no BBC, nothing. Yeah. Just check Vanessa Bailey and you will know so many things.
So, I asked you about repair for Syria, but let's go back 100 years. Do you have an opinion of what repair would look like for the Armenians from the genocide?
Maybe you will like my opinion, and maybe you will hate my opinion as well.
Not judging.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Nothing can repair. You know what I mean? Here. Okay? Nothing. You know, you can't face also terrorist or killing by killing. You can't face hate by hate. You know, this is against our teachings and against our religion. You know, and I just said at the beginning, you know, a lot of Armenians, they could be saved during the genocide, you know, if they accepted Islam as a religion, correct? But they denied Islam, and you know, and they never denied Christ, and they stayed on their belief. Okay, if we kept Christ, you know, I always say we can also learn how to forgive. Correct? Because this is Christ. All his teaching about forgiveness and loving others. No? But we want something for the history. It's not because we are Armenian and we are asking. No. We want something that to be publicly to and everybody should know, just for one reason. Because if everybody knows about the Armenian genocide, that will prevent a lot of killing. Because Armenian genocide was the first genocide in 20th century, and after it, 7 genocide happened in the 7th century, you know, starting from the Holocaust, and you see Hitler, what he used. You know, who's the day remembers the Armenians. And then you have Rwanda, Darfur, blah, 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 and Japanese, and China, you know, 7 genocide happened. And I wrote an article about it, you know. That's in the 20th century. And look now, history are repeating himself, you know. What the Turk did from 1915 to 1918, it's exactly happened in Syria and Iraq, Mosul, you know. The same way of killing, the same way of beheading, you know. Same. They used Islam, and it's the mix of two ideology, the Wahhabism, which is for Saudi Arabia teachings, and the royal family, you know, which is very corrupt. And the other ideology, it's the Muslim Brothers ideology. The two brought together and gave you this ISIS things, you know, the Islamic State in the Levant, which is in Iraq and Syria, and gave you this violent and killing, and I don't know how to describe it. If I tell you, you know, my nephew was killed by ISIS, you know, and they could not find his body till after 15 days. Imagine, you know. Yeah.
How
They attacked my hometown.
Kamishli.
No, Hasaki, the other hometown, which is my family. I told you we lived too, you know. 3 o'clock in the morning, they attacked it. My brother lives in Hasaki, you know, and you know the neighbor, the children of the neighborhoods, they supported each other, and they used to protect the neighborhood, you know. And what happened is ISIS attacked from the side of where is the it's close to Deir Zor on the road, and my brother's house is over there, obviously, and most of his friends left, and my nephew stayed in that room, shooting on ISIS to make them give space to his friends to escape, but he got shot, and then they bombed the whole things on him, yeah, and they didn't know what happened to him. Because everybody escaped, they went to Kamishli. It's 45 minutes, far from that city. They thought he's still alive, and after 15 days, they found his body under the remains of the building. And a lot of friends I lost. Same thing. And if we didn't lose them there, we lost them in the Mediterranean Sea.
When they tried to leave.
Yeah. I lost so many friends. So many friends in the Mediterranean Sea. They escaped to Turkey, from Turkey through the sea to Greece, you know.
Was that the easiest way to go for them instead of
The
by
cheapest
bus
way.
to Lebanon?
Cheapest way.
Why not go to? Why didn't they choose to go to Lebanon? Do you know?
Lebanon, because Lebanon has regulations, they didn't, you have to have a sponsor, they don't allow you to go inside the country. And even if you go there, it's very expensive to live.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's the cheapest way. And no Christians goes to refugee camps.
Why not?
They will get killed because all these refugee camps are, honestly, are the families of the rebels. Muslim Sunni, let's talk. Muslim Sunni. You think they will, if they live with each other, and you know how many crimes happens in refugee camps? Sexual abuse, so many stories, very bad stories. And Saudi men, they travel to Jordan to go to Syrian refugee camps to buy 15, 13, 11 years old girls and boys as well, just for sexual pleasure. You know that? And you want the Christians, they rather die in their homes than to go and live with those animals. Sorry. I'm not racist, but this is how I feel.
Do you think that Syrian Christians, Armenians or other Christians, do you think that there would be a special type of justice for them in post-conflict Syria? Second.
Yeah, they have to do something about it. I mean, you lost everything that you built in 100 years. It's like in 1 second. How are you gonna repair those? And you know what I like about most of the families that I talk with them here or in Europe when I went and I did my research? They always say, if everything stops, we wanna go back. You know what I mean? I mean, they want to restore, they are not waiting for anybody to help them, by the way. If you ask her, she will say, just let everything stop and back to normal, we'll go back.
Yeah. In the church in Deir Zor and in other places, what was destroyed and what was lost, and why is that important?
Our history destroyed.
Yeah.
We collected all this people's memories, in this Deir Zor desert, Syrian desert, and we gathered them in one spot that every Armenians around the world, they used to travel every year on April 24th and go there to be witness and commemorate their memories. You know what they did? This Turkish militia, they came and they bombed that place. In particular, the first thing they bombed in the city. You know that?
Was Turkish?
Of course, Turkish militia are, all the militia are run by Turk. Jabhat al-Nusra, for example, by Turk. Part of ISIS, by Turk. They bombed and they stole everything.
There were documents about the genocide?
There were documents, pictures, they stole everything. Even the bones, their relics, the remains, they stole. Imagine. I would just wanna remember where I wish I kept it. The pictures, there is between Hasake and Deir Zor, there's a city called Margada. There were one shepherd was, with his sheep, and then one of the sheep got lost, and he was looking for it until he found the sheep in a cave. And, and he was going to see what's going on there, and he sees a plant that the roots of it is all red, Then he started digging, and he's like, somebody came and he brought him lighter, and they went inside the cave, and what he says, he sees all this bones of the Armenians are on top of each other. and that was in the city of Margada, small city. It's on the road. What the Armenians did, they all came together and they built like a chapel on top of the hill, and they gathered all these bones over there. And it was every time we go there, we pass, we have to stop and pray and we leave. You see, they bombed that. For God's sake, I mean, it never happened.
Do you think Armenians are being targeted specifically?
Of course. And when they being targeted, that means who's behind it? Tell me. It's not Lebanon, it's not America, it's not Russia. Over than 300 churches being targeted in Syria. And the first churches were targeted were Armenians in Aleppo.
By groups like Jihad al-Nusra.
Of course. And they know where are the Armenians gathered. There is the Armenian quarters in Aleppo. Why was the whole violence was there?
So let's talk a little bit about the work that you've done here. So you were in LA when most people started coming from Syria to California.
Yeah.
And what has some of the work that you've done looked like here? When people started coming in, did they come to you? Did you take the initiative? What was it like?
No, they come to me actually, because I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they find me as well. If you help somebody,
And make sure it's recorded.
yeah, it's like they find you no matter what. And if they want you, they will find you. Most of the work I did, I used to help them, paperwork, like even lawyers, refugee status, asylums, get them lawyers, social workers, welfare, immigration paper. I used to, even furniture, I used to get them problems, family problems, I used to interfere, and not just Armenian or not just Christian, by the way, even Muslim. I helped a lot, and I do as well find them a job, even teach them how to drive, take them to the DMV, get their driver license, take them to migrations, translations, any kind of help you can imagine, I used to do.
And what are some of the biggest challenges for them when they come here?
It's language and paperwork. This is the biggest. Driving, of course. Language is very, very tough for them. And tongue. Lifestyle. They have this culture shock. You know what I mean? They always like, oh, why this happened to us? Why this happened to us? Why we needed to come here? I just told you, you built for 100 years your life, and then you lose everything and you come to different country.
Do you think the Armenian community in Syria will be able to rebuild itself?
Yes.
What would that look like? How would they do that? I mean, hypothetically.
The Armenians are miracle makers, We have this in history, I mean, that way the churches are still active there and still helping people, and they always look after the people. And Armenians in diaspora, they will never leave Armenians in Syria or in Iraq by themselves. We always help. We always help in any way we can, our people is different, I mean, we came here to this country, actually, we built another Armenia, and it's amazing, I tell you, I'll show you maybe Armenians, they came during the Syrian war now they have jobs, they have businesses here, imagine, and they speak English,
Like what do they do for the most part? What are the businesses?
They are a mechanic, and like I know the two girls I helped now. She's a graphic designer, and the other one she's studying. She's gonna be a hospital billing. You know, that's difficult.
Yeah.
You know, they want to improve themselves. You know, they want to show, you know, and they work hard to establish. I helped like a couple guys, and now one of them became an expert in the alkaline water system. You know, it's like in 2 years. He escaped from Damascus, and you know, and plus his dreams. He's doing this just to, you know, make a living, but his dream is to continue university. You know what I mean? They have this, you know. They, you know, their goals and dreams doesn't stop just by putting food on the table. No, it's beyond the table, and it's beyond our conversations. And you know, one day you will see them. I was so shocked. Like, I gave a speech about the Armenian genocide, you know, and I didn't went to traditional speeches, and you know, it's like the audience were mostly Mexicans and Americans. And I said, do you know the ATM machine, for example? We use this every day. I said, do you know that the inventor was Armenian? ATM machine, you know? This is one of the, you know, one of the things that, you know, MRI machine that, you know, is Armenian. You know what I mean? I mean, we need to bring those back, you know, these people back, and remind the world that, hey, look what happened to us, and look what we did to you guys, you know? I mean, restoration, it's like treat me with kindness. You know, we had enough killing, we had enough bloodshed, you know?
And to treat others with kindness as well.
Of course.
And does that happen through a truth commission? Does that happen through
the church
each
plays,
individual person?
The church should play a big role, and the Armenian groups as well, parties should play. Let me say it plainly and clearly. All these Armenian parties, they should come together and be united. Unfortunately, we are just united in April 24th. You know, it's time to be united and be one party. Armenian. That's it. And we should name our children Armenia or Armenian.
Yeah.
You know? Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there? What do you think the biggest loss has been to the Syrian Armenian community? And what would you like in a rebuilding of the Syrian Armenian community? What would you like there to be?
I mean, the biggest loss is for the Armenian Syrian community. We scattered around the world. I mean, for example, I have now sister as refugee in Tasmania, Australia. Imagine, you know, my brother is in Tasmania. My other nephew is in Melbourne, and the other one is Sydney. I have one in Germany. The others are in Sweden, and the others is in Armenia. And then my other cousins is in Lebanon, and still I have 3 families left in Syria. Now, if I want to go and visit, I need 6 months to visit all of them. You need you know, this is what, you know, they scatter. We are scattered now. That's the biggest loss. Beside, we lost properties, we lost lives.
Yeah.
You know, but now this is what we suffer.
Yeah.
You know, distance. You know. And it feels like I'm begging for my life when I ask to be a refugee in your country. You know what I mean? It's like I'm homeless on the street. I'm homeless without country. Restoration? I don't know. Maybe we should build a new Armenia and bring all these people together.
What about the Armenia that exists? Could they go there?
Maybe if some changes, you know, positive changes established after the new Nicole Pashinyan, maybe people, they will think to go back.
Yeah, actually, it's a question. Why do you think that your family went to Australia and all these other countries instead of Armenia?
Okay, I have families went to Armenia, but they could not live in Armenia. You know, help was very limited. Honestly, let me be honest. They could not survive there. Tell me how much survived? None. And all of them, Armenians in Armenia, they want to get outside of Armenia. You want these Armenians from Syria to go in Armenia? Because of the government, sorry, corruption, biggest enemy of the Armenian people. You know? And I'm not gonna talk about it. I know so much. You know, I'll tell you that without you.
The last question then I guess is what do you think is the biggest difference between the Syrian Armenian? Oh, first, you've been in America now for so many years. Do you feel American Armenian at all? You said Syrian Armenian. Is American in there in any way?
Of course, I'm American now.
You're American Armenian.
I don't have a Syrian passport anymore.
What do you feel? American, Syrian, Armenians? Like how would you say what you are?
The three together. And it's richness. Yeah. It's richness. You know, and I work with the law enforcement and try to protect at least where I live and where other Armenians live and other fellow Americans live. I'm American now, you know. And I'm proud of it, actually. It's a country that gave me place, gave me identity, gave me a new identity, of course, citizenship, you know. This is what we lack, you know, citizenship is something, a feeling of belonging. She left Armenia because her parents, they didn't feel you see? We should plant this in our people, you know, in Armenia, not here, in Armenia. Restoration for Armenians is to go back to Armenia and build it strongly. And we should ask ourselves why Armenians in Armenia want to leave. Okay, I have an article, I will email you the article. It's about poverty in Armenia. Don't be shocked, okay?
Don't what?
Don't be shocked if you read the article.
Okay, thank you so much. One last question for you is where do you think you see yourself in the work that you do here with the Syrian Armenian community and the Armenian community in general in like 5 years?
5 years? I don't know. I just told you I had a heart surgery. If it wasn't for the last minute, I could be up. I don't know if I'm going to be upstairs as well. You know, I work, you know, there is a saying that my spiritual director is Italian. He used to say, I'm going to translate it to you. Wherever there is a grass, donkey will be happy. You got it? My work is a mission. Wherever there's people of God, my mission will be rich. Wherever there's a grass, donkey will be happy. Urvor eshe danisi khodga eshe gurakhana. But eshe yete anabat danisne gurakhana. Watch. You see? I'm open. I'm gonna go to South America, to Africa, to wherever they send me, I'll go.
Thank you.